Let's get it rolling. It is time to talk week 7 of the Big 12 football season. I'm Pete Mundo. We are Heartland College Sports. We cover the Big 12, and we are so glad that you, yes, you, are here as a part of this show. Whether it's on YouTube, on the podcast, however you're consuming us, all we ask of you, it's a very simple ask, is to subscribe to the channel. So we've got a lot of great games to talk about. This week 7 has some super compelling matchups that will play a big role in the Big 12 race going forward. And I'm going to go through all of these games, and I will give you my favorite picks against the spread. Let's start off with the games in order. And we're kicking it off on Saturday morning with UCF on the road against Cincinnati. Of course, UCF's coming off a couple of losses to the Kansas teams. Cincinnati off a huge program-defining win under Scott Satterfield against Iowa State, getting that victory last week. And I'm looking at this game, and I'm saying to myself, the biggest weakness I've seen thus far from Cincinnati is something that UCF is not poised to take advantage of. And that is Cincinnati's pass defense. That pass defense for Cincinnati has given up the second most passing yards in the Big 12 so far this season and has not had one interception so far this season. But UCF is not a team that is going to be built on getting the ball down the field through the air. That's not what they do. I mean, Taven Jackson has had some nice throws at times, but you question first off the health of that quarterback room. And I'm looking at Cincinnati and I'm saying, boy, they are going to be able to, I believe, have their way along that defensive line in particular against that UCF offensive line. So just looking at the matchup, I'm saying to myself, I don't believe that UCF is really built to take advantage of one of the few weaknesses that Cincinnati has coming into this game. The only reason you may look at this and say, I don't love Cincinnati, is because you do wonder whether or not there's a hangover element to last week's win over Iowa State. And the second half was not as good as the first half. But they're home. Again, Nippert is going to be on fire. They're in a great spot. They're coming off of 2 huge wins. You just hope there isn't that letdown. I do believe that UCF is an improved team going into this game. And I have been, I think, fair to the Knights in terms of how Scott Frost needs time and how actually they have exceeded some of my expectations so far in the early season. But this matchup just doesn't work out well for them at all. I think that Sorsby is going to be able to do almost whatever he wants in this game, not just through the air, but potentially with his legs. That is actually where I think that this UCF defense has had more issues. And that's where Cincinnati, who comes in with a top 5 rushing offense in the Big 12, is going to be able to have itself a big-time afternoon. So give me Cincinnati in this game, winning by a final of 31-17. I will take the Bearcats to get another win under their belt, improve to 3-0 in Big 12 play, 5-1 on the season as UCF stays winless in conference play. That is my first pick of the day here for the Big 12 Conference. Make sure you are subscribed right now to the channel at Heartland College Sports. We will go to Stillwater, Oklahoma. And boy, the problem with these games for Oklahoma State, guys are leaving the program left and right. It's an absolute utter mess. They're hitting the portal. The coaching staff is obviously totally turned over. And you have to do this based on a feel. Oklahoma State got absolutely smoked at Arizona last week. The only thing you look at this game and you say to yourself, if you like the Oklahoma State side of this, is, well, you know, maybe in front of the home crowd, they'll have a little more juice. Maybe Houston, who's coming off that loss to Texas Tech, comes back down to earth a little bit. But there's no real reason to expect that outside of some gut feel. I mean, Oklahoma State's defense is horrible, absolutely horrible. They've got the worst pass D in the Big 12. They've got the second worst rushing defense in the Big 12. And while Houston's offense has not been great this year by any stretch of the imagination, they have been, at times when playing weaker competition, able to showcase their stuff, right? And that's what you've got to like if you're a Houston fan going into this game. And that's why you've got to like Houston. I mean, they're a 2-touchdown favorite, so you got to like Houston no matter what. But you're still sitting here and wondering to yourself, what is Oklahoma State? I don't think they're good. There's no reason to think they're any good. But just how bad are they? You also wonder what exactly the status is of Connor Wigman, your starting quarterback for Houston. As of this conversation right now, what we've heard is that he's progressing well. He was in concussion protocol, and he could be available for this weekend's game if his recovery continues on track. So that's a good sign. But I can't, and this is not a game I'm going to pick against the spread, because I can't really do it if I don't know what Wigman's status is. I'm not going to sit there and lay points with Zion Chris at quarterback. There's no way. Even as bad as Oklahoma State is, I'm not going to do it. But Houston, no matter whose quarterback, should win this game. And that's something that I know that's like hot take. Houston beats Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State is going to get beat by mostly everybody in the Big 12, barring a fluke this season. That's how bad it looks right now for the Cowboys. But I'm going to go Houston going to Stillwater and picking up this win by a final of, I'll go 30-17. Houston beats Oklahoma State in Stillwater. But do keep an eye, if you're going to look at the spread in this game, you got to figure out whether or not Connor Wigman is going to play. And we may not have that answer until sometime Saturday morning before the game kicks off. We will go to Boulder, Colorado. Iowa State goes to Boulder after their first loss of the season. They fell short against Cincinnati last week. Colorado licking its chops following their loss to TCU last week. So now we've got two teams trying to get back in the win column. For Colorado, they're looking for the first win in the win column in Big 12 play this season. Iowa State is 2-1, 5-1 overall on the season. So my question is, what does Colorado do when it comes to protecting the quarterback? Caden Salter, or whoever they've had a quarterback, has just gotten steamrolled this season. They have given up the most sacks in the Big 12 this year. And it's been a real issue for them the entire season. So if you're looking at this game and you're saying, well, can Colorado pull the upset? They're only 2.5-point underdog at home. You got to figure out how you think that they are going to be able to take advantage of Iowa State, which is not do a good job when it comes to getting to the quarterback. Now, that's not what John Haycock's defense typically does. It's not going to be a defense that racks up a ton of sacks. It's going to be a defense that just doesn't let you get the big play and keeps everything in front of them. That's what they've always historically done well under John Haycock. So I'm not worried about that necessarily, but you've got to figure out how to take advantage of an Iowa State passing defense that is dealing with injuries and that, especially in that first half, did get torched by Cincinnati. Now, they rebounded for a much better second half. And if you want to find the silver lining, if you're an Iowa State fan, that's it. The second half, the defense was much improved. Now, you were down, 3 scores at that point, but it was much improved. The problem is Colorado has not done a good job with its passing attack, no matter who's been back there at quarterback. They're in the bottom 3 in the Big 12, bottom 4 in the Big 12, technically, in passing offense. So they have not done a good job at all on that side of the ball. And frankly, the other side has not been a whole lot better. So there's some improvement on that defensive line if you're looking for that silver lining for Colorado. But that's been also more so at times about the pass rush than it is the rushing defense, which has not been good either. Now, Iowa State's running game has not been great. And we talked about that last week going into the Cincinnati game. They were going to have to win the game through the air using their tight ends. And they got better at that as the game went on, but they struggled very mightily out of the gates. So I like Iowa State to have a bounce back win here. I think we're looking at something along the lines of Iowa State. I'll go the Cyclones winning this one 35-24 over Colorado. And I do believe they will go there and cover that spread of 2.5 points. So give me that one. Iowa State -2.5 on the road against Colorado, getting a bounce back win over the Buffaloes. That's the prediction here at Heartland College Sports. I'm Pete Mundo. Make sure you subscribe right now to our channel. That way, you never miss an episode. Let's go to Manhattan, Kansas. K-State taking on TCU. So who wants to fix the running game first? That is my question for these two teams. Both of them have struggled tremendously. They are both in the bottom 3 in running the football. Now, you might have expected that from TCU because of Josh Hoover, the way the offense is set up. It was always going to be pass first. But you would not have expected that from Avery Johnson, Dylan Edwards, and the Kansas State Wildcats this season. But it's what we've got. Now, if you're a TCU fan, you're like, hey, Pete, pump the brakes. Kevorian Barnes, they're running back, getting back in the swing of things. Okay, we got to get this guy healthy. He missed a couple of games. He's getting back into it. He was playing against Colorado first time in a month. Let's give him some time. Okay, I'm willing to do that. I am. I'm happy to do it. But I'm not going to sit here and tell you that TCU is suddenly going to carve up the Kansas State run defense, which admittedly has not been good. And that's a major surprise for Kansas State that the run defense this year has not been good. But let's not forget that Kansas State is 13 points away from 6-0. They're 2-4. Now, you might sit there and tell yourself or tell me, and you can comment right now on the video if that's how you're watching, or mention something on social media. We are on Instagram. We are on X. We're on Facebook. Just search Heartland College Sports. You might sit there and say to yourself, well, Pete, doesn't matter to me. I like Josh Hoover in this game. He doesn't need a running game. He can just sling it around. Well, I wouldn't sit here and be all that sure of that, okay? Because I do believe that this Kansas State team is still a team that is going to be heard from in this Big 12 race. I believe maybe that's overly optimistic, but my goodness, you look at all of these games. Go back to the Iowa State game. Could have won it. The Baylor game this past weekend, I mean, they basically gave it away. How would you feel about Kansas State into this matchup had they not blown that game to Baylor the way that they did on the road? I believe you'd feel a bit differently. There are reasons to come out of that game optimistic if you're a Kansas State fan. And I'm not going to sit here and say I'm optimistic about Kansas State, but I feel better than the portion of the fan base does who is like, we're done. We're closing up shop. We're 2-4. It's all over. No point. Let's just give it up. I mean, they held Baylor to 99 rushing yards. Bryson Washington was kept in relative check for Baylor. And while Sawyer Robertson had a big game in the box score, looking back, I mean, they did pick him off. They did slow him down at times. And in crunch time, Baylor came back in a big way in that fourth quarter of that game. But still, I mean, I am not sticking the final nail in the coffin of Kansas State. I'm not doing it yet. And TCU has had its issues, right? I mean, you look at this team, and the margin of victory does not tell the story against Colorado. That was a dogfight of a game. They blow up against Arizona State. All right. And I believed before the season that TCU was a team that could compete near the top of the Big 12. But these first two Big 12 games give me pause for concern. Now they go on the road against a very desperate Kansas State team. I will take Kansas State at home as an underdog to win this game, which means they would cover the spread at plus 1.5 points. And I'll go Kansas State to win by a final of 27-24 over the TCU Horned Frogs. There you have it. The Heartland College Sports Prediction. Subscribe right now to the channel. Tech is hosting Kansas. And my question here, how does Kansas, which has struggled against the passing attack, slow down a Red Raiders passing attack that has been the best in the Big 12 and one of the best in the country? And my answer to that is they don't. You think you saw Kansas struggle against Cincinnati? Well, just wait until you go to Lubbock. and you got to go up against that passing attack. Or you've got to go up against a rushing game that also is one of the best in the Big 12. Good luck. Two-headed monster in that backfield. That is not going to be easy at all. And this is a Kansas team that has not done a good job, notably on that side of the ball, slowing anybody down. They are giving up the fourth most rushing yards per carry of any team in the Big 12 behind Oklahoma State, Iowa State, and Colorado. And by the way, they haven't exactly played Murderer's Row here in the Big 12 so far this season. They have played West Virginia, Cincinnati, and UCF. God bless them. They all want to run the ball to some capacity. But when those numbers, as the worst run defense or the fourth worst run defense in the Big 12, are driven by playing West Virginia, Cincinnati, and UCF, what does that spell when you're going up against Texas Tech? Jalen Daniels is going to have the game of a lifetime to pull off this upset in Lubbock on Saturday. And he's capable of doing it. I just don't believe that he will. Texas Tech's defense is nasty. And if you've seen some of what's been talked about on social media, Tech fans want this place to be like Arrowhead Stadium on Saturday. That's what they want from their fan base. People are saying, rightfully so, that this fan base has clamored for a defense like this for years, if not decades at this point. You've got it. This is your chance. You have a home game here to showcase that you're going to support these guys. You're going to be that 12th man, as it's dubbed. And I just believe Lubbock is going to be on fire on Saturday night. The game is on Big Fox. It is their first home Big 12 game this season with this team that is just crushing opponents, has not lost a game by fewer than 24 points this year. And I believe we're going to see that on display again on Saturday night. Texas Tech has been one of the best teams against the spread this season. They are beating the spread by an average of 10 points per game. They are 14-point favorites. I've seen 14.5 in some places. I'd buy the half a point just to be safe. These backdoor covers have bitten me a little bit over the last couple of weeks. So I am all in on Texas Tech winning this game outright and covering the spread. I'm going Texas Tech 38, Kansas 31 as the final score. And it's just because this Kansas team will not be able to slow down the Tech offense. And on the other side, where you've got some good running backs, you have LaShawn Williams, you have Daniel Highshaw, you have a dual threat quarterback in Jalen Daniels. Tech doesn't let you get anywhere with that. Tech is giving up 2.3 yards a carry, 65 rushing yards per game, 2 rushing touchdowns all season. These dudes have it in the trenches on both sides, but I would say more notably on the defensive side. Tech rolls 38-21, covers the spread, take it to the bank. Texas Tech minus the points on Saturday night. Buy the half a point to get to 2 touchdowns if you have to do it. And what you have to do, no matter what, is subscribe right now to the channel here on Heartland College Sports. I'm Pete Mundo. We cover the Big 12. We got a couple more games to talk about here. Let's do it. We've got BYU on the road against Arizona. Now, Arizona came off a very confident and, big win against Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's terrible. BYU took care of business on Friday night against West Virginia. They have the extra day of rest as well. They are going on the road, but they've got the extra day of rest. And while Arizona has been surprisingly good in one category in particular, and that is slowing down their opponents on the ground, they have not seen a rushing attack like BYU. That is second best in the Big 12, averaging 5.8 yards per carry. So while Arizona on paper looks like a team that could potentially slow down the BYU running game, a couple of things concern me for them here. First off, I think those numbers are partially juiced by the fact that they have not played a really good rushing team yet. Hawaii only throws the ball. Weber State. Kansas State didn't have Dylan Edwards in that game. Iowa State has not been good at running the ball all season long. And then Oklahoma State's a mess all around. So I think these numbers that make the Arizona running defense look really good are a little bit skewed. Not to take anything away from them, but I guess I am. I guess that's exactly what I'm doing. because I think, like anything, the numbers have to be interpreted, especially when you're only 5-6 games into a season. So that right there is where I say I'm BYU. I got Bear Bachmeier. I've got LJ Martin. I've got a guy who, by the way, at quarterback is a true freshman, but is getting better and more comfortable with every week passing the ball as well, with a running game that I think we can open up against Arizona. It's pretty attractive right now. And Arizona is going to have to win this one through the air because they don't run the ball well. And BYU is ahead of Arizona when it comes to slowing down the rushing attack. So this is going to have to be an Arizona team that is just lights out with Noah Fafita through the air. Now, they've been good this year when it comes to slinging the ball around. They are 4th in passing yards per game. But BYU's defensive efficiency is top 3. Their passing defense is 2nd in the Big 12 in yards allowed per game through the air. And they are tied at the top of the Big 12 with 7 interceptions. 7. Now, they're tied with Arizona, believe it or not. So Arizona has been opportunistic when it comes to the pass defense. But that's where I think that Bear Bachmeier is not going to be put in a spot here to screw up on the road in Big 12 play. I'm not saying he won't do it, but I don't think the coaching staff is going to give him too many chances where that could potentially happen to him. That's where I think Kalani Sitake is going to be well prepared. All right. And already Bear Bachmeier has dealt with a road atmosphere in the Big 12. It was Folsom Field a couple of weeks ago. And based on what I saw last week from the Arizona crowd, that Folsom Field crowd is going to be far worse than what he's going to experience on Saturday night. I'd love to be wrong about this, Arizona fans. I'd love for y'all to show out in the big way and make me look like a fool. I just don't see a lot of evidence to suggest that that is going to happen. But if it does, I will apologize to you during the reaction show on Sunday, which you can find here only on the Heartland College Sports podcast and YouTube channel. That one does not go on the radio, and that's why you have to be subscribed right here to the podcast or the YouTube channel. I'm Pete Mundo on HeartlandCollegeSports.com, where we cover the Big 12. And last up, we are going to talk. Oh, well, let me give you that score first for BYU. That would be good, right? All right, I'm going with BYU to win the game and cover the spread. All right, give me BYU winning and covering the spread over Arizona, 27-17. I guess you wanted that part of the prediction. I almost had you there. Almost tricked you. Almost gave you a full breakdown without a score. But I'm going BYU, and that is one of my picks, BYU minus the 1.5. So there you have it here on Heartland College Sports. One of the games of the week in the Big 12, Arizona State on the road against Utah. This game will go a long way into determining how the Big 12 plays out in the weeks to come. I cannot wait for this one. The problem is you're going to have to wait a long time. It's kicking off late, 9:15 Central Time on ESPN. Utah is a favorite in this game by 6 points, and that may surprise some of you. I understand why it would surprise some of you. But when you actually dig into this a little bit, it probably won't surprise you. And that's what we are going to do right here on the show. So this game I'm looking at, and I'm saying it will be decided by the Utah rushing attack against the Arizona State rushing defense. Arizona State's only given up 2.6 yards per play on the ground. That is tremendous what that defense is doing at Arizona State. But Utah, they've got to get the ground game going and then open things up for Devin Dampier. That's how they can go out there and potentially get a win. That's what they're going to have to do to go out there and potentially get a win. So that right there in and of itself is one of those moments where you say to yourself, okay, if Utah gets the running game established, they're in a great spot here. If Kyle Whittingham can get that offensive line, which is one of the top 2 or 3 O-lines in the Big 12, rolling early at home against Kenny Dillingham's guys, he's going to win this game, and he may win it running away. I don't believe that's what's going to happen, though. I don't. Because I get Sam Levitt. I get the guy who right now, if I got to win a game, I'm taking him over anybody else at quarterback. Now, the road environment's going to be tough. But Arizona State and Utah, they know each other from the old Pac-12 days. This is not like an unusual spot for them as a program playing Utah on the road. So that's number one. I don't think that is as big of a deal as some people are making it out to be. Raleigh Brown continues to get better, it seems like, every single week at running back as Cam Scattaboo's replacement. And as much as we look at that Utah defensive line and we like them a lot, they actually haven't been great so far. They are in the bottom half of the Big 12 right now in rushing yards allowed per carry at 4 yards per carry. So I'm getting Sam Levitt. I'm getting Raleigh Brown. This team was shocked a couple of weeks ago when they were down 17-0 early to TCU. I don't think they're going to let that happen again. So I like that combo for Arizona State going into this difficult road environment. And if Arizona State can stop the running game of Utah and force Devin Dampier to have to beat them through the air, then you know what? That is a best case scenario for Arizona State going into this game. There are some injuries on defense that concern me for Arizona State. Zach Swanson, Xavier Alford, not expected to play. So the offense is really going to have to get it humming. But in the end, I think we have a slugfest here. I do believe that Utah ends up coming out on top, 30-27. But I'm taking Arizona State as one of my picks to cover the 6 points, because it would not shock me if Arizona State is not only able to cover, obviously, I'm picking them, but also winning the game outright. I will take the 6 points with Sam Levitt, with that offense, in that spot on the road on Saturday. So I will pick Utah to win outright. But I am taking Arizona State to cover the 6 points in this game on Saturday night in Salt Lake City. Utah and Arizona State, 30-27, your final in favor of the Utes. I'm Pete Mundo on Heartland College Sports. Thank you for being here. Please do subscribe to the channel. We've got you covered as always, talking everything Big 12 Conference. It's what we do. Everything here is free. Share it with a friend. Leave a 5-star rating and review on the podcast. It helps us tremendously. And we will talk to you for the reaction show from Week 7 on Sunday. That's why you want to be here, to never miss an episode. Thank you, guys. Share it. We'll talk to you soon. Go Big 12. Have a great rest of the day.